Do-do-do-do-do. All right. Week 10. Yes. Week 10. No, week 9. Week 10. It is week 10.
It's week 10. Last week was week 9. So either way you want to think about it.
Jake wrote week 9. It's totally week 10 now. Jake also thinks this is going to be a low energy one. So I'm bringing the energy and the fight. Welcome to our podcast. My energy is gone. So anyway, welcome to another week. Let us get started. But I think before we do that, it's the trade deadline week. So if you boys have a trade, it's time to make it. So here's a fun little question. Who in the league is most likely to make a big-time trade? Not which players are in it, which owner is making that trade?
Are you asking me?
Yes. No, the other person.
Well, it's definitely you. I think it's pretty easily you. I'd say it's between you and Trevor.
I was gonna say Trevor.
Yeah. I mean, I think you guys are the only contenders with assets to make a trade, so it's kind of that's the most likely, and then you guys decide what trade you actually end up making. So,
Trevor, send me a good offer. I'll accept it.
That's unlikely.
You know, some of your boys, they're being difficult with these trades, man. I'm not gonna name names. Cam.
My boys?
Well, my boys don't count. I mean, Mitch is fair. Tom is fair. Sean is an outlier, man. It's not my fault.
I'm not gonna shit on Sean. Sean's been nicer to me and been more reasonable in trades, even though we haven't done a trade. So,
all right. So moving on, let's go week review from week 9. We'll start the game of the week from last week. Your boy beat up on Mitchell, and that was fun. Take that, Mitchell.
Yeah, my God, Joe Mixon scored all his points for the year last week.
Just so everyone remembers, who traded me Joe Mixon? Because I can't remember.
That would be Mitch.
That would be Mitch. However, if you traded James Conner for Joe Mixon, I would have lost that game by 50. But I didn't.
Well, is what it is. Sucks to lose a game where Michael Carter and Mahomes played really well, I guess, for Mitch. The rest of the team didn't do all that much. Brady's been super disappointing this year.
Yeah. Hitting at QB 20? It's QB 13, actually, but still.
Yeah. So it should be interesting. I don't know. Mitch seems to be wanting to tank, but I feel like he's still pretty in it. So I don't know. We'll see what ends up happening. Year ends, everyone pretty much played really well. I mean, Brian Robinson, I don't think is what you thought he was coming in, maybe. But other than that, you had people on bye. So what?
I drafted him, and then he got shot 3 days later. What do you mean I didn't think he isn't what I thought he was? Yeah, he got bullet holes.
He doesn't have bullet holes anymore.
Well, I mean, he's got bullet scars. Give him a break. He's still getting 50% of the touches and 50% of the snaps. Relax. Man got shot. It's fine. He's a rookie. I still like Brian Robinson. I still have faith in Brian Robinson. However, this James Robinson trade might save me a little bit moving forward. Not trade, but James Robinson being traded to the Jets. I felt pretty good this week after Dallas Goedert beat up on A.J. Brown a little bit. Walking out of there with Goddard having more points than Brown felt pretty good. Justin Jefferson is that man. He is the best receiver in the league, and I will hear nothing to the contrary. Trevor Lawrence and Derek Carr kind of were the same person this week. Very, very similar game against each other. So not much of a bad decision there. I survived a pretty bad bye week situation for me. I mean, I had just so many people and injuries and buys that this was like the roster I was fielding. Thank you, Joe Mixon. Mitch, tough. Mahomes played great. Other than that, I don't know what to do. Michael Carter and James Robinson is like a fun little 1-2 in for the Jets, and I don't know what's going to happen there. Other than that, we both guessed I would win, making us both 1-0 this week.
Pretty good. Good way to start.
Yes.
On to the next game. We have Trent versus Skullcap. And Skullcap did what he usually did and win. Not as many points this week from Skullcap.
No. I had a bad week.
What was that?
I said he survived like a not so great week. I mean, 106 is going to win you half your games probably. Trent is now 0-4 in his last 4. Josh Allen was like fine, but not special. He was great, but not special fantasy-wise. Herbert can kind of continues his down year. Certainly, you wouldn't have expected him to be not a top 5 QB this year. Eckler carried Madison. Sean's lack of depth kind of showed this week, but he survived. Chubb and McCaffrey having bye weeks together. If he was going to lose, it was kind of last week was the time. Geno killed it. And Eckler and Travis Kelce are really good.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the Eckler, I feel like that's a little bit because there's no receivers left there. I mean, Josh Palmer did pretty good this week, but same thing with Herbert. I mean, I imagine when those guys come back, he's back to being top 5 guy every single week. So I think there's not a lot of downside, I guess. I guess Herbert will push up when Eckler comes down or not. So I think Chargers is good offense to be a part of. So good for Skullcap on that one. On Trent's side, running back situation is starting to look really scary, and the quarterback 2 position is really scary. Baker's back to not playing after playing well last week, so I don't know why they love PJ Walker so much, but I guess Baker had his chance, so he can't be.
So here is my theory with that. I think once they bench Baker, they were kind of like, we need to move past that. Like, it's kind of become a sideshow, and not really of Baker's fault. Just like Baker comes with, it's not baggage, but it's just like Baker. So I kind of think with Sam Darnold coming back, they're just going to like stick with PJ Walker until Sam Darnold can play and then give Sam a chance. That's kind of my theory there. One of the reasons I've kept Sam Darnold all year. But, tough Naheem Hines doing nothing for you. Weird that Buffalo trades for him and then he just like doesn't really touch the field. But I guess it was his first week. Antonio Gibson coming at Brian Robinson, he's still RB1. T. Higgins had targets, just not a touchdown, not a crazy amount of yards. I think you'd expect more from him with Jamar out and then putting up 42. And then Terry McLaurin is still just like, I think getting hurt by not having great QB play ever and not really a great offense in general. Terry McLaurin is still a guy I really like, but he's a little older than I think you realize, that people realize. But anyway, Trent's team is looking more scary, and 4 straight losses is not great.
Yeah. Wow. I just noticed Travis Kelce had 17 targets this week.
Yeah. It's crazy. He had 17 targets and only put up 15 points. Like, that won't continue.
Yeah.
More targets than points.
Yeah, so I think it's going to be hard for, outside of injury, it's going to be hard for Sean to not score a lot of points. I mean, Mooney's starting to score points too.
Mm-hmm.
Not that he really starts on this team, but yeah, it's just going to be tough to deal with, I think. Tyreek Hill continues being absolutely wild. He's the best wide receiver in the league because he has.
Blasphemy.
Yeah, well, he's going to have 2,000 yards this year, so he's definitely the best receiver in the league.
Touchdowns.
What?
Like 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, except for that game where he's going to have 4, and then all of a sudden he has 7. So.
He's never going to have 4. Not in that. Tua underthrows him too often. I mean, like Tua gets it to him, just not in stride.
That's true.
And he's like not a red zone threat very frequently.
He's still the best receiver in the league. Not his fault. Anyway, we spent too much time on this game already, so let's move on. Big T versus Lamb Chop.
We didn't finish.
What?
I predicted that game correctly, making me 2-0 this week. You picked Trent. You took an L. You are now 1-1. Now we can move on.
Okay. Well, I also predicted the next game wrong, so we can get ahead of that.
Super wrong. I picked it right. Lamb Chop won by 80 points. You picked a game that the guy lost by 80 points.
Hey, you swing and you miss sometimes. What can I say?
Sure.
Anyway, ETN
is that man.
Who?
Joe Burrow. Even though he didn't have the game. That dude is doing it without Jamar Chase. He is still great. That throw to Joe Mixon in the end zone was great. It was just a great play. I know you wanted to start with ETN, but I wanted to start with Joe Burrow. So I took control. Now we can talk about ETN, who had a very good game as well.
Okay. Well, ETN had a way better game than Joe Burrow. 25 points from a running back is much more impressive than 19 from a quarterback. But that's besides the point. ETN looks amazing. I guess they were just keeping him healthy at the start of the year when they weren't using him. I don't know what the plan was there in Jacksonville. But
I mean, James Robinson had really good performances earlier in this year as well. Like James Robinson was going for 2 touchdowns. James Robinson had a 25-point day as well earlier in the year. It feels like their system is maybe just coming around. And Trevor looked pretty good this week as well in Jacksonville. He made some tough passes. I think he still makes a little bit of too many mistakes, but we can move on from him. What I really want to talk about is Dameon Pierce. Because although, like, ETN had a great game, no one's denying it, Pierce, I think, arguably has a better game, just doesn't get into the end zone. Pierce is the guy I said was a steal on draft night. It seems like that has come true. I think if Tam has Dameon Pierce on his team, is a very different team today. Mm-hmm. And he's not sitting at 5-4. But Lamb Chop is also not at 5-4 if he has not picked Dameon Pierce. Moving on with Lamb Chop, Lazard. Dude, Green Bay's bad. Aaron Rodgers is bad.
Yeah. They look awful. I don't know what is going on there, or feels like kind of start to the end for Aaron. I mean, don't want to doubt him, but he really hasn't looked great. He threw like 3 goal line interceptions that game, which is crazy.
And the one he threw to David Bakhtiari, which is just a statement I hate to make to begin with. Like, why is David Bakhtiari the guy you're looking for in the red zone? But moving on, I hate those plays so much. But that was a duck. Like it was 4 feet short. And by feet, I mean like 400 feet short. Like that was going nowhere near him when Hutchinson from the D line position was just like, mine. It just wasn't good, but he's not in this game, so let's move on. He just affected Lazard and Dobbs. Dobbs being hurt hurts Tom quite a bit. Boyd, again, you'd expect more, but I guess Joe Mixon just took over this week. Cooper Kupp proves that he is the 3rd best receiver in the league still. And Miles Sanders continues to be solid, not great. I know like the big thing was that he was RB8 when Lamb Chop traded for him, and that was a big argument. He's already moved down to 11. He's solid, not great, but Lamb Chop's team is pretty complete. Obviously, not as complete as it was if CMC was there. I think Lamb Chop is fighting for back-to-back titles if he still has CMC. But anyway, Zach Wilson is just, I don't know. He doesn't do it for me. I think we can kind of just skim Tom's team. Everything that could go wrong went wrong, and move on.
Yep.
And even Josh Jacobs had another solid game, but just not great.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the Brees injury hurts Tom a lot, so that was, and Bateman also being out.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, pretty depleted team. Well, team wasn't really expected to contend to start with, and then he's had a decent amount of injuries as well, and the Dobbs injury hurts because he was starting to look pretty good there. But
I think Tom has some pieces that are really fun, and also I think Tom's team. I mean, if Russell Wilson looked like he was Russell Wilson 3 years ago, Tom's team looks very different right now. He's probably sitting mid-pack.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
Without those injuries as well. But we can move on. We already said I predicted that correctly. Jake did not.
Yep.
All right.
Oh, I put all 3 games I didn't predict correctly in a row, so that's fun. Anyway, this is my game. Me versus Cam. I got a little lucky. Cam left a lot of points on the bench. I don't think he was really starting Kenyon Drake or.
Yeah, does Kenyon Drake's actually mean he left points on the bench? Because like he was never starting. Like yes, there are points there, but he was never putting him in that starting lineup. The real ones are Cordero Patterson, who arguably should have been starting over PJ Walker, even previous, and then Christian Kirk, who probably should be over Jacoby Myers, but I think both of them are kind of the same sometimes. I'm a big fan of both, but Christian Kirk has had a great year. Probably still not worth his salary, but a great year.
Hey, helping your boy Trevor out. I think that's all they really cared about. I don't know. These guys with the salary cap the good ones, the salary cap almost seems like it doesn't matter anyway. So I think getting the help's more important than worrying too much about that. They'll figure it out later. Other than that, Justin Fields. Well, my lineup was set because I had no other options other than who I'm starting at QB, but I started the right QBs this week. Justin Fields went absolutely crazy.
Could you have started Terrace Marshall? Did you? I don't remember when you picked him up.
I could have started Terrace Marshall. I did think about starting Terrace Marshall.
I mean, you weren't going to start Terrace Marshall.
Well, it was him or Likely, so I was like,
that's
pretty much the same thing.
I would have gone Likely too, I think. I think he was a more sure bet with Andrews not playing. I mean, you're lucky he walked into the end zone. Well, I guess lucky's a strong suit because you won by so much. But, I mean, like, this game was Justin Fields versus Cam. Everybody else was, like, fine. I think, like, there's not much to talk about in this game other than maybe Justin Fields is that man now.
Yeah, maybe. Definitely. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see how it goes, but he looked really good this week at least, and he's running a shit ton, so that always helps in fantasy.
He is looking like he's taking those slides, which is nice. Those QBs that don't scare me every single time.
He doesn't get hit a lot.
No.
Very rarely gets hit, so I don't feel too bad about the running. And yeah, that's about it. So I'm starting Justin Fields the rest of my games, and thank God I don't have to start Matt Stafford ever again. That'll be fun. Yeah,
to a different extent, he doesn't get hit super much. I mean, he's not like Kyler level of not getting hit, but he's also not like Josh Allen of I'm going to run into 4 defenders because I'm big. He's like somewhere in the middle there, probably a little closer to Kyler than Josh Allen.
Yeah, he's also a lot bigger than Kyler, so
correct.
Take a little more.
Also a lot smaller than Josh Allen.
What?
Also a lot smaller than Josh Allen. But like we said, that was Justin Fields' game. You predicted Cam because you're a dummy. I predicted you because I'm brilliant, making me 3-0, 4-0, and you are 2-2. No, you're not. You're 1-3. Take that.
Woohoo!
All right. I don't even know what to say about this next game because now we're talking about Danny. Like,
it's impressive how few points he scored. I don't think I have ever seen anything close to that.
I don't know what to say. Like, there are just no words for him. I mean, McCole Hardman on his bench outscored his entire team.
Pretty much.
No, not pretty much. Did
he?
He had 16 points.
Oh, yeah.
And he had 14.8.
Yeah.
He would have more than doubled his points by just starting McCole Hardman over Elijah Moore.
That is tough.
On the other side, let's just we'll go through Trevor's stuff pretty quickly. Ramondre Stevenson looks okay. Fournette looks okay. Probably worse than okay. That Buccaneers offense looks scary. I mean, I think those are Trevor's RB1s and RB2s. Like, there's nothing else to fit in there for him right now. Rodgers is scary bad. Yeah. Adam Thielen, fine. Waddle played Waddle-like. Actually, probably played worse than he has been recently. And then Mills was fine. I mean, like, Trevor's another guy. Trevor he's doing what Lamb did last year. He's just winning.
Yeah. Yeah, he just kind of finds a way to win every week. I mean, didn't really score points this week and still found a way to have one of the only matchups he'd probably win.
Well, he would have beaten Trent, beaten Biondi, beaten Danny, beaten Tom, beaten Cam. So, I mean, he's like right in the middle of the pack. That feels like where he's been every week this year.
Except he's 7-2. So
exactly. Again, we both picked this one correctly. We both picked Trevor, making me 5-0, and you are 2-3. And now we can move on to the last game, which is Biondi versus Mr. Taint.
Biondi versus Mr. Taint. Biondi had a pretty good game for someone that has like 7 people that don't play on his bench. He scored 77 points, mostly just Ken Walker being awesome.
Does he not have a starting quarterback in the NFL right now on his team?
He has Brissett.
Oh, okay. Brissett was on a bye. I was like...
And Watson for when Brissett goes out. Yeah. So he has one. So he has one, and then, I don't know, no points really other than that. A lot of empty spots on the bench, but I don't know. I think you got to be pretty enthused with what Hawkinson did this week. Also Rondale. First week usually is kind of a down week when you get traded as a pass catcher. So I don't know, maybe Hawkinson's value's on the trend up. Olave's been, I'd say, the best. Him or Garrett Wilson, but definitely stats wise, he's been the best first year receiver.
Yeah.
I liked Olave a lot coming in. I thought it was interesting he went Olave over Wilson in the draft, but seems like, at least for now, he made the right pick.
I think Wilson's the better receiver, but Olave is just getting those targets. I think, the big thing here for him is Hawkinson. I think arguably Kirk Cousins has the best weapons in the NFL right now. You had the best receiver in the NFL, no doubt. Hawkinson is probably a top 5 catching tight end. It's yet to be seen, but I think there's that potential. Dalvin Cook is still pretty good. And I think Alexander Madison is probably one of the best handcuffs you can have. And then obviously Thielen is fine. I think highly of KJ Osborne, even though he's a third wide receiver. But anyway, this is about this game. Focusing on Mr. Taint, Derrick Henry looked great. And And Devontae Adams came back from what was a terrible performance a week ago. And hopefully for Mr. Taint that continues. And Tua played really well. Other than that, his team was not great. But if you get two players that give you 55, you have a good chance to win.
Yeah. I wouldn't say a down week, but he had a couple guys that underperformed. Kamara, Amon-Ra. I think you expect those guys to be scoring a lot more points. Devontae Adams had a really weird game because he scored like all his points in the first half and then did nothing the rest of the game. So
yeah.
Not sure what the strategy was there on the Vegas side, but Josh McDaniels is an awful coach. Other than that, Tua, happy for Tua that he came back from that injury. He looks awesome. Another guy that's
does he look awesome, or does he look awesome in fantasy?
He looks awesome in fantasy.
He looks like bad. It just every time Tua does just enough, I think, for Tua haters to be like, "Do you see how he missed that throw?" While Tua fans to be like, "You see how he made that throw?" Because the throw is never great, but it always gets there.
He manages the offense really well, I think. He keeps them on track. I think he does what they want him to do really well. So I'm happy for him.
I like Tua.
I've always liked Tua. I think seems like a good guy. So anyway.
And we both picked that one correctly. So as a recap of our picks this week, you went 3-3. Not too shabby. Some of us went 6-0. Oh, he's good. He's so good.
I'm miserable. I
have a whole week lead on you now in our season record.
It's over. I can't catch up.
I am 7 games up. That's a whole week. A whole week.
Is what it is.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll do what you do, and for my picks from now on, I'll just pick as we go, and maybe that's the secret.
Yeah, you pick ahead of time. It's crazy. So I think standings are starting to become a little more important. So talking about them here, the 1 and 2 seed is they're pretty well defined right now. Trevor is number 2. Sean is number 1. Both would get buys.
I wouldn't say that.
Right at this second, that is what the divisions look like. Now, if Trevor loses this week and Tank Grass wins, Tank Grass becomes number 2, easy. Sean is more safe because Sean has more points than everyone else. Trevor has like no points. Trevor's going to lose the tiebreaker to every other playoff team. So like if Trevor loses 2 games, he really kind of falls from like 1 or 2 seed to like 5 or 6 very quickly. But you have two teams at 7-2. You have 2 teams at 6-3 with Mr. Taint and Mr. Chris. Oddly enough, the 2 7-2s and 2 6-3s play each other this week, which feels annoying. And whoever made that schedule should be fired. After that, you've got Too Many Cooks sitting behind them. So that make him the 5. Actually, I don't actually know if that's accurate. Lamb Chop may be ahead of him. It looks like I am wrong. Lamb Chop is the 5. Too Many Cooks being the 6th. Trent being the first team out. Mitch and Trent and Lamb Chop and Cam right now kind of fighting for those last few spots. You with a win this week can kind of get back into it. 4 and 6 kind of gives you a shot. And then we have the 3 teams at the bottom.
Yeah, I don't think I'm really in the points race. I mean, maybe if there's a big week somewhere, I could jump back in somehow. But I don't know. I'm not too worried about it. Kind of a lost season, but not a big deal. Other than that, 3 people that are kind of tanking. I mean, Tom's not really tanking. The other 2 are very heavily tanking. So, yeah.
Well, you say Tom's not tanking, but I think he has 3 firsts this year. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know what he has. I know Danny's got like 18.
Danny's got 4. So
yeah. Anyway, moving on. Uh, Weekly power rankings. For the most part, we stayed pretty formatted. Both of us, I think we can run through this because we did the standings.
Yep.
Both of us put Sean first. Both of us put Trevor third. We both put Mr. Tate. Oh, we put Trevor second. Both of us put Mr. Tate third, although I was pretty close on those two. You went Cam above me. I went myself fourth over Cam. I love the disrespect from you, kid. So we flip flop those. We both put Trent six, although Trent has fallen down, and I think looking now, I would have put Lamon ahead of him, and possibly Mitch. But you put Mitch ahead of Lamon. I put Lamon ahead of Mitch. So fun mix there. We both put you 9, Tom 10, Beyond 11, Danny 12.
Yeah. I think the rankings are semi-self-explanatory.
Yeah.
I'm still high on Mitch's team. I might just be a Brady lover, but I feel like he'll turn it around. And if Brady does end up turning it around and having points per game similar to last year, I think Mitch's team looks a lot different. He also gets Debo back, which is nice.
Well, and when you have Mahomes, kind of similar to having Josh Allen, although that injury is kind of scary. We didn't really talk too much about it before. But Mahomes gives you a chance to win every week.
That is true.
He's going to put up like 25 to 35 points, and that's just what's going to happen.
Very true.
All right.
If I'd put Danny, I guess I would put Danny. He scored so little.
Danny scored 14 points. What do you mean you don't know if you'd put him last?
Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting the way they're going about this tanking because they don't really have anyone. So even with the first round picks, I'm interested to see how their lineups end up looking next year. But I don't know. They'll figure it out either way.
They're putting a lot of reliance on hitting on draft picks.
Yeah. Or maybe they'll trade the draft picks. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, if Danny hits on all 4 first rounders, his team's going to be great next year. If Danny hits on 2, we'll see.
We shall see. All right, on to the previews. Gonna start off with the game of the week. Skullcap versus McGee, the 2-1 seeds. So a lot of pressure on Trevor here. Could lose his 1 seed. Skullcap is safe, I believe.
He's safe.
Yeah.
He's got it. I mean, I would have to win and outscore him by like 80 points.
Yeah. So he's safe. Trevor needs a win to keep his 1 seed.
Mm-hmm.
But he does get a nice matchup for Tank Grass against you. Well, for him at least. So let's look into that matchup.
I mean, this matchup is pretty straightforward. The running backs of Eckler and Chubb. Trevor's got Stevenson on a bye, which hurts. It looks like, I mean, as of right now, he's starting Davis Mills over Aaron Rodgers, which is kind of hard to argue with, which is crazy to say. But anyway, I mean, he's got Claypool in the flex against a McCaffrey flex. Like, that McCaffrey being able to sit in the flex is crazy. Travis Kelce, best tight end in the game. And then, I mean, Sean's weaknesses are at wide receiver. Maybe Waddle can and Cooper can have their big games both at the same time, keep Trevor in it. But I mean, Sean, it's going to be running backs versus wide receivers, that classic story. As for QBs, I mean, you got to believe with Herbert and Geno, it beats Danny Jones and Davis Mills. But it's not crazy. I don't think Sean is super strong at QB as of right this second. So, I mean, this game is kind of up in the air. It's totally feasible for both teams to win. Maybe Kittle has a big game. That's not crazy. I think that would mean Trevor has to see Clyde Edwards-Helaire in the end zone. That dude's got to score for Trevor to win.
Yeah. I didn't understand what Trevor's saying. I'm not sure if he's buying or selling players now. when he posted in the chat. But yeah, I think he needs to fill out that second RB slot. I mean, well, at least he has Stevenson, but yeah, having Clyde be your backup is rough.
It's more like that third RB flex spot he needs fixed.
Yeah, I mean, Clyde, I don't think you could rely on for more than 5, really. They're kind of splitting that backfield 3 ways now.
Yeah.
So it's really much worse. Glad I traded him when I did. But yeah, I don't know. I think this is kind of not. I mean, there's a shot. I think there's a shot that somehow Trevor scores more points at QB.
I don't think it's crazy.
Yeah, there's definitely a situation where that happens. I don't think there's a situation where he scores more points at running back. And I definitely don't think there's a situation where he scores more points at flex.
I wouldn't go that far. I think there is a chance Claypool gets in the end zone. CMC has some issue. Like, it's not like flex is just one spot. So I feel like I think Kittle could beat Kelsey. Like, it's possible. It's one spot. You know, Claypool could score 2 touchdowns. He's playing Detroit, man. The only person who doesn't score 6 touchdowns a game against Detroit is Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, well, if Claypool scores 6 touchdowns, that means Justin Fields had a good day, so I'll take it.
They're all running touchdowns, every single one. I think wide receiver, Trevor clearly has the advantage. Like, I would give him a huge advantage there, honestly. And so I think, like, it's not crazy that it's up in the air either way. I think Sean is the favorite, but I don't think it's not crazy to pick Trevor moving into this game.
Yeah.
And with that, I think we can go into our picks. I am picking Sean. I'm picking Penn State. He's gonna keep it. He's gonna go 8-2, and Trevor's gonna fall down the cards a little bit.
All right. Well, every time we've picked against Trevor, he's won. So I'm gonna at least make it so it's possible that he loses. So I'll pick Trevor.
To be fair, he's kind of won when we've picked against him too.
That's true.
He's 7-2. He wins every week.
It's true.
He was like I think he might have started like 1-2.
You see, Trevor was saving all those points last week so he could explode this week with 160.
Dude, with Waddle and Cooper could easily get him 60 points. Yeah. At the same time, Waddle and Cooper could easily get him 0 points. So
I don't know if they could get him 0, but anyway, yeah. Go chase Claypool.
Fair enough. Moving on to the second game of the week. It's kind of like game 1A is them, and game 1B is Taint Grass and myself.
Yeah.
So Mr. Taint versus Mr. Chris. This game is a fun one. Tua, I think, is the X factor in this game. So Sam Ehlinger is scary, and I think he's a QB, so he's still worth the start, but he's scary. As for running back situation, the clear advantage is Mr. Taint, Henry and Kamara. Come on now. Wide receiver, I think, is closer. However, I think it wouldn't be crazy to pick either group. Tight end, I feel pretty good about Goddard beating up on Ingram. And then flex, I mean, you got to, as of right now, it's Aaron Jones and Deontay Johnson. I feel like Aaron Jones is so much more preferable to Deontay Johnson in that position. I think QB-wise, Sam Ehlinger scares me, but Kyler may be hurt. We'll see if it looks like he'll play, but we'll see. Joe Mixon on a bye, Damian Harris on a bye for me, James Robinson on a bye, Devontae Parker on a bye, Jamar Chase out but on a bye anyway. So I think, this game is up in the air. I think this game could easily come down to which Pittsburgh player I put in that second flex spot.
Who are you between? Oh,
Hunter
Freiermuth?
Johnson and Pat.
Yeah. I've done the whole 2 tight end thing. Would not recommend.
My second tight end is better than your second tight end was.
I guess. I don't know.
And
Waller and they weren't that bad.
Well, Pitts and Waller are both a little scary this year.
They've been awful. But Aaron Jones, I think, could be a big factor. I don't know if he plays this week or not, so that could be big for you.
He was on crutches, and I haven't heard anything really.
Yeah. He does have Tyler Lockett on the bench, so he does have someone to fill in there. If I was him, I'm starting Tyler Lockett over Sam Ehlinger, but that is totally up to him. And so I think a big thing is if Aaron Jones plays or not in this game. But I think your team is pretty set. Joe Mixon gets to cool off for a week after going absolutely wild. Jefferson going to continue. Goddard maybe has a down week after also going crazy for Dallas Goedert. But I don't know. I think that you kind of caught a lucky one with Lamar being out, so I'm going to go with you.
Interesting. So I really do, and you're right. Luckily, Lamar's not playing. It does give me that shot. But, I mean, I think Aaron Jones and Lockett, really, I would prefer over any of the Pittsburgh guys that I'm playing in that second flex spot. I mean, or maybe he does put Lockett in for Ehlinger anyway, and Aaron Jones plays. Whatever the case may be, I think he's just more set this week with my bye week situation, with my injury situation, missing out on my Bengals. Tough. I know Jamar obviously wasn't playing anyway, but, not having them in the lineup, I think I moved to 6-4, and I'm picking Mr. Tank.
All right. On to the next game. We have Cooks versus Big T.
And so now this is a little unfair because both teams have people playing currently because we're doing this a little later this week based on work schedule. But, we have a team that's – I'm not actually totally sure what Cam is doing with it sounds like he's trading off players. However, I haven't heard any rumblings of anything getting close with him. I sent something and I thought it was pretty fair. And he said it was fair, but not what he was looking for. So I don't really know what he's looking for either. But anyway, Tom in tank mode versus Cam, who's at the cusp of the playoffs. The QB battle, he gets Dak back this week. I guess Tom gets Russ again, but which one would you rather have is pretty clear. And yeah, we can go from there. Tom with the big pickup of Cole Kmet. You and I have both been burned on the Cole Kmet train.
Cole Kmet did great.
A little bit. Did he do anything for you?
He played decent last year, and then I traded him, so I was pretty happy with.
Fair enough.
His run on my team. I think I don't know. I just think there's not much to go on here. I think Cam, even though he's a little down on his team, I think he could easily get a win this week. I'm not sure if maybe he winds up making a Diggs trade that will upset whatever we're doing a little here, but other than that, I can't imagine.
Has that been talked about?
I think he said Diggs. Didn't he say Diggs was on the block? I thought he said that.
No, it was Diggs and Dalvin. I just wasn't sure if you'd heard anything on the Diggs radar. That man views Diggs crazy high. Man, he reached out to me weeks ago and was like, I would give you Diggs for he reached out to me. Diggs for Jamar Chase and picks. I was like, you, my friend. I didn't even answer.
That's an interesting one.
Are you what? Anyway, so I don't know if that Diggs trade's happening. Cam is pretty fair, but when I saw that, I was like, this is crazy. I have the receipts still in my sleeper DMs. But anyway, this game, Tom has the running back advantage. Cam has the wide receiver advantage. I just don't think Singletary's good. Or that's not true. I just Buffalo just doesn't hand that ball off.
But maybe with the Josh Allen injury, they start handing the ball off more. I think Diggs, Josh Allen injury or not, Diggs is still a top guy.
So the score just changed like big time midway through this update. Mariota just threw a touchdown to Drake London. Both of them in Tom's lineup. Just so like we know what's happening here. So Tom's score jumped from like 2 to 20 real quick.
Well, I already made my pick, so I'm sticking with Cam even after that.
You literally wrote. Oh wait, what? You literally wrote Big T.
That's just because I took the Big T one and I just changed the name to Cook, so that was my pick from last week.
Okay, no. You pick Big T. I'm looking at it.
Yeah.
Wait, you just said you picked Cam. Who did you pick?
Pick Cam.
But that's not Big T. Big T's Tom.
Okay.
I don't know. I picked Cam.
Look at the rest of the picks. Like on the Mitch Steve game, I picked Taint, and so did you. Like I haven't changed the stuff in there. Really.
Actually, no. Taint lose this week.
Okay. Anyway, I'm still sticking with Cam. I think his quarterback situation is just a lot better. So that's why I'm sticking with him.
Okay. Well, then I'll switch it in our thing so we know you pick Cam. All right. Moving on. We're going your game against Lamb Chop.
Me versus Lamb Chop. Interesting matchup. Lamb Chop, you have to set your lineup unless you changed it.
Who's he missing? His lineup set.
Oh, no. He had Zach Wilson in the Superflex before. But
can you have gotten luckier with Lamb Chop? Both his QBs on a bye.
Yeah, interesting there. I think there's some interesting matchups. Saquon, Swift. Swift looks awful. What?
No, sorry, I got distracted.
Okay. Juju, I guess I have to start from now on. I don't know. He's been playing really well. CD, I'm starting. And then the running back situation is interesting. I don't know if I'll play Jonathan Taylor this week. He practiced in full today. And apparently they use Swift like for 10% of plays. I don't know why you would do that. Just rest him if you're going to do that. But what do I know? Anyway, I don't know. I kind of got stuck with playing Kyle Pitts again this week, which annoys me every single week.
So what was that text about? What was the Kyle Pitts Waller text about that you got and then figured it out when I didn't understand what was happening?
Oh, so Waller was placed on IR at like 11 a.m. this morning.
Yeah.
But he was in my lineup, and I had JT in my IR still, so I couldn't put, since they made him doubtful even though he went on IR, so I couldn't put him in my IR slot and replace with Jonathan Taylor. So I had too many players, so I couldn't do anything, even though. So I was trying to figure out a way to get him out in my IR spot, but then they put him in IR. They made him available, so.
I was so confused. I got that text 2 hours later, and I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. Anyway, this is a fun matchup. I think if Burrow was playing, I'd feel really good about Lamb Chop's chances. I think arguably at running back, he has the more sure bets. Wide receiver, Again, I think he's got a more sure bet. I think Cooper Kupp is just that X factor. Again, at tight end, now it's a little bit cheating because it's the third quarter and Kyle Pitts is less than 2 points because I'm looking at it. But again, the only thing I really give you a super advantage about this week is having 2 QBs.
Yeah.
And so with that, I think this game is close. I think Kirk Cousins is at Buffalo, which means he could be down quite quickly early, or they could be going crazy with Josh Allen not playing. It's a little unclear what's happening there. Justin Fields and David Montgomery get Detroit this week. So I think I'm going to pick this week with a little bit of hope for my selfish hope that you win this game, and I am picking you.
Interesting. Yeah, season just hasn't worked out the way I wanted. I don't trust any of my running backs really, and that's why I pick against myself every week. So I'm going to pick against myself again. It helps that I know Kyle Pitts is doing nothing this week, so I'm not worried. Maybe this is a good Kyle Pitts week because it's not. So I'm going to go with Lamb Chop. Cooper Kupp, ETN, Pierce, which I don't know. He showed up on the injury report, which I found weird. But he probably still plays. So I think if you had to put money on this, you'd probably put it on Lamb Chop. I think he should be the favorite, even though I have 2 QBs.
I think that's fair. I think it's actually super up in the air. It's better team versus 2 QBs is what it kind of looks like, at least this week. Not necessarily that his team top to bottom is more talented than yours, but like this week it feels like it's 2 QBs versus the team with the better overall roster. So we'll see. I mean, if Justin Fields goes for 40, you're going to win the game.
Yeah, I mean, if Justin Fields scores 40 every week, I'll win a lot of games. So maybe we'll just stay on that bandwagon.
Yeah, and now let's move on. We have Trent versus Danny. Danny trying to rebound off his 15-point day. Josh Allen, questionable. Right now, Danny doesn't have a tight end, but also isn't starting Kenny Pickett. So not sure what Danny's doing there. Danny, please remember to pick up a tight end because otherwise I will do so for you and I will put him in your starting lineup. And I'll drop whoever the frick I want to drop.
Danny always sets his lineup.
I know that. But I will drop a player I want and automatically add him to my team. So just remember that. On the other side, Trent, it's his chance to bounce back. Mark Andrews being out still, and also on a bye, so less important that he's injured this week. T. Higgins on a bye, but this is Trent's chance. He gets Kareem Hunt back. Trent, literally right now, though, if Josh Allen doesn't play, does not have a QB.
Yeah, that's tough. Yeah, I mean, that injury's really hard on Trent. I don't know. It's a hard team to kind of wrap your head around because it really needs another QB. It has so many pieces. I mean, Andrews and Higgins on bye is really tough. Luckily, he plays Danny, who hardly has a starting lineup to put in.
Hey, Danny gets Tony Pollard back, who was on bye last week. Kenny Pickett also back this week, who was on bye last week. Danny, I'm assuming Tannehill is playing this week. I was kind of surprised he didn't last week. It looks like he's been back to full practice. So I imagine Danny's coming in there with 2 QBs. Trent's running backs are still scary. I mean, he's starting Donovan Peoples-Jones right now. Again,
he's been good.
I'm a big Donovan Peoples-Jones guy. I think it was my first year. I started Donovan Peoples-Jones all the time. because I also had nobody. I think it was his rookie year. I had Donovan Peoples-Jones playing quite frequently, or at least was on my roster. But I mean, like, he doesn't really much else to go to. I mean, maybe Isaiah McKenzie, but this one's really tough for me. It actually is way closer than like you would think it would be.
Yeah.
So in my predictions, with Tannehill playing, Josh Allen's not playing this week. I'm picking Danny.
Yeah, I'm gonna pick Trent. I think Josh Allen. I don't know if he plays. I think he plays though.
I'm sure he does, but Danny scored 15 last week. I'm picking Danny.
All right. You pick right on. That would be a great pick if that winds up working out.
It would help me a lot too. Because when I lose the tank grease, I would like for Lamon and Trent to lose, which is why I picked against both of them, so they both win. Moving on, last game. We're already over an hour, maybe. Actually, we talked a little bit before we started, so we're probably not there yet. But anyway, we have Weop versus Beyondy. Again, Beyondy maybe accidentally started Desmond Ritter today.
Definitely accidentally started Desmond Ritter. Beyondy's in Thailand, for everyone that doesn't know, so I don't think he's paying much attention.
I do think that possibly we may have the right to go switch that.
I'm fine with that.
Let's see if it matters, and then we'll have a debate about it afterwards. If Brissett plays well enough that if Brissett plays, Beyondy wins, we'll talk about it.
I think we put him in now if we're going to put him in. But we could talk about it afterwards.
That's so right now, Jeremy Hill is on a bye. So I don't know what Beyondy's doing. I don't really want to talk much about this game. Mitch right now doesn't even have Brady starting, which is fun, which I think is crazy still. Deontay Foreman playing well at the moment. But with Mahomes, it's Mitch. Kenneth Walker versus Mitchell. This whole team. I'm picking Mitch to end this video.
Yeah. Can't argue with you there. Probably Beyondy's strategy so interesting. Why he wouldn't just have like long shot prospects at least. Why have Josh Dobbs on your team?
I don't know. Like, there are certain guys in there that I wouldn't mind having. Like, he could have picked up and chose not to.
Yeah, there's definitely guys there that are like worth a shot at least.
Yeah.
But hey, not my team. I'm also going Mitch. I just think he's got an actual team, and Beyondy really doesn't right now. So.
Yeah, Mitch has an interesting lineup in this week, though.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. I definitely wouldn't have started DJ Moore over Brady or Courtland Sutton over Brady. But
well, to be fair, Courtland Sutton's just over Brady right now. He could move Debo to that spot and then Brady into the receiver flex.
That's true.
It's like not crazy. I mean, he also has Zeke sitting on the bench, which not crazy, but Zeke's had like a fairly good year.
Yeah, well, I think he had to play Deontay Foreman just in case Zeke doesn't end up playing this week. Because Deontay Foreman plays right now. So I think that's kind of the thought behind that. Okay. But
Deontay Foreman went to Texas, didn't he?
I have no idea.
I was right. He went to Texas. Points down.
Other than that, I mean, yeah, Mitch just has a full roster. Beyondy really doesn't. I mean, maybe Gabe Davis has one of his Gabe Davis games, and then this becomes an actual game. That's the only way I could see something happening. So,
yeah, it's. Moving on then, just to end it off, the little recap of picks in the game of the week. I went with Sean Skull Daddy Scullin. You went with Trevor Mr. Delusional McGee. Man, he's so annoying. My phone goes off, and it's just like all like every Instagram thing he sends me. I'm like, God damn it, Trevor. Anyway. Moving on, you picked me in my game against Mr. Taint. I picked Mr. Taint. Moving on again, we both picked Cam against Tom. I picked you. You picked Lamb Chop. I picked Danny. You picked Trent, and we both picked We Up. So 3 games were this. No, I think we're only the same on 2 games this week. Mitch and Cam.
Mitch and Cam. Everywhere else were different. So it would be interesting if we both go 3-3 somehow. But yeah,
I would love to be wrong about my game, and that's about it.
I'd like to be wrong about my game. But
I would be right about your game. So Lamb Chop loses, and hopefully Trent loses, and hopefully Sean loses. Penn State bad. Lose Penn State, not named Chris.
Yeah. Next week we should do a recap of what the record is between Penn State and Stony Brook. But
that's gonna take a while to figure out, but like not impossible.
Yeah, or maybe not. Anyway, I think we should end the actual video at least. That way they don't have to listen to this. All right, so bye guys.